Yo, what's up guys? So this card is absolutely insane. It opens up the doors for so many plays. A lot of people have been talking some trash, but let me go ahead and actually explain to you how good this card can be. But anyways, first off, we gotta go ahead and go over the effects of it. So anyways, this is Hop-Eared Flying Squad. It is a Wind Beast Tuner effect, level 2. The stats don't really matter, but it's 300, 600. And it says you can only use this effect of this card's name once per turn. That first effect is, during your opponent's main phase, as a quick effect, you get to target one face-up monster you control, special summon this card from your hand. If you do, immediately after this effect resolves, synchro summoning using only that monster and this card. So a lot of people are saying, well, okay, you can only use 2, so that actually limits you on a lot of things. But let's go ahead and go into more of a discussion in depth and talk about why this card is actually so amazing. So, first off, for anyone that has played any Orcus variants, there's tons of variants of Orcus, but basically, at the very end of your combo, you are limited to, of course, going for only darks, and if you use Chrysano, then it's only dark machine, which extends a lot of the other combos when you can mix up with like dangers, for example, because they're all dark anyways, and usually you're using them to get into your combo. But there's so many other decks, and specifically going into Final Sigma, which is already a win condition on its own by just basically summoning it because it's immune to everything. And then on top of that, if it battles an opponent's monster, you can just do double battle damage and has 3k attack. And again, remember, it is unaffected by card effects except for Process or Rasa Slayer cards, which you can easily make with Ultimate Conductor Tyranno into this. Again, you have so many options for some great cards, and I wanted to go ahead and talk about the good cards you can combo with Hop-Eared Flying Squad. So, it always reminds me of when Form the Stinger first got announced. People were like, oh my gosh, you can Black Rose on your opponent's turn, that's so insane. Which, I mean, yeah, if you happen to be able to pop the field, that's good. But most of the time in Yu-Gi-Oh, I would say when you're going first, that's not usually your goal. If you establish a board, then you probably don't want to go ahead and pop the entire field. However, if you happen to open up subpar, let's say you're playing a deck that, you know, is activating an effect, okay, you know, it's like a once per turn, okay, let's just use the UA Perfect Ace as the example here. So, you know, you have that effect once per turn, you get to negate anything by discarding one card. I know, again, UA is not the most meta, but the example is just like a card that uses its effect, right? And then you don't really have any use for them, and then when your opponent would, let's say, do something else, you can go into something else, and they're not going to be expecting the Hop-Eared Flying Squad, and especially when you can play you know, other cards where it says like you can only go for, let's say, like machines for the rest of the turn with like Cyber Dragon Tray, you have that option to, again, utilize some cards that would say like you could only summon like X amount of monsters or like their special type or attribute. You know how it is with Yu-Gi-Oh! So this card just doesn't really care too much about that because, again, you're going to be doing it on your opponent's turn. Obviously, we don't have Needle Fiber, which can actually open up the doors for even more crazier combos, but there is one downside I wanted to mention, that is that you have to use that monster and this card. So you have to target the face-up monster you control. And so there's that downside again of you have to use only one monster. So unfortunately, you cannot make Trish, which would have been so good. This is usually like the go-to card when people would go for formula plays. Unfortunately, you cannot go for Mistworm, and you cannot go for a White Aura Whale because it's not a water tune. I was just looking at like other options. I literally just went through like a bunch of the cards that were more viable that you guys can actually bust out with the Hop-Eared Flying Squad. And keep in mind, guys, with all of the dangers, sometimes you just have a leftover danger up on the board because maybe they you activated the effect and they hit like one of your cards, and you're like, well, I needed this other card to go into another combo because I needed a certain rank or whatever the case may be. With the danger plays, you have more accessibility to going into other things, especially if your opponent, you know, gets rid of, like, let's say they activate an effect that would like target a card, you instantly like, okay, I'm gonna target this and immediately synchro summon that card and then make them miss their target or something like that. And again, like going back to Ultimate Conductor Tyranno, this is an insanely good play. And on top of that, I know Battle Wasp, you know, there's not really that many people talking about it, but you could make the Battle Wasp, and as soon as this card, if this card is special summon, you can banish all insect monsters to your graveyard and make your opponent's all of their monsters lose 500 attack and defense for each one that it got banished. So that's kind of nice. Just again, it's just like that surprise factor. And I just wanted to mention this. I know, like, you know, most people don't even summon like the older guys Synchro. But what I'm trying to say is you can activate cards that would prevent you from, let's say, special summoning or do anything for the rest of the turn, because you're going to be doing it on your opponent's turn. I also thought that the Black Rose Moonlight Dragon is still not a bad card. You still have that ability to bounce back certain cards, especially when everyone's playing like the Orcus variants. I mean, you just be like, okay, you summon Nightmare, okay, bounce it right back into your hand. And if they don't have like a discard outlet, sometimes that could be very bad, because, well, this card usually doesn't do too much in the hand. Other cards that I saw, this card over here, Orient Dragon. I mean, I know synchros aren't the most hot thing, but if you know that your opponent is playing a certain deck, like Orient Dragon, you know, just get rid of a card, you draw some cards, even pop a spell or trap on the field. This could be pretty big. Now, unfortunately, it does require a non-tuner TG monster, but if you are playing TGs, this could be an option as well, considering that deck can definitely play more of a control stun. And it can be definitely used also with like Herald of Arclight. Again, if you just have like an extra card up on the board, even some of the ritual variants that will have like the tokens. I've seen that there's that spirit one where it like bounces back the tokens. You can actually utilize this with some other variants of that. Other ways you might be able to pull off the Hot Red Dragon Archfiend Abyss, obviously with a dark Dragon Synchro monster. It can be kind of difficult for some decks to make that. If Level Eater existed, oh my gosh, this card would be so much better. But you could even go into Savage Dragon, which would be kind of cool as well. Even like, you know, Stardust Dragon, you could make that. If you're playing against a certain deck, you can make everything become Dragon, which could, again, stun your opponent. It's more so the surprise factor of it basically being a hand trap that you would surprise your opponent with. But you really got to go first with it. Going second with this obviously doesn't do too much. And then also, I thought a really good card also, and I was actually running it against Burn when, you know, obviously Mystic Mind is still popular in TCG, but I haven't seen it as much, I would say, recently. But Blackwing Dragon is great because it's going to be continuous effect, adding those counters. And again, the most important thing is really that surprise factor. If your opponent, you know, goes for something, you just instantly just make this, and then you will be good to go. Granted, make sure that's not already up on the board. It's more so when they would, like, let's say, like, activate certain things, they would, like, they're going to activate Duality, go reveal Mystic Mind. You're like, okay, I'm going to go into it right now, because you know they're going to go ahead and plop it right down, and that way you can just kind of prevent yourselves, you can instantly go for this effect, which would be great. But yeah, like I said, there's just so many more options for this. I think the most, like, relevant cards that people would probably be making, though, is honestly, if you're playing dinosaurs, it's such a great tech card for dinos. Because again, this card just wins on its own. You summon your Ultimate Conductor Tyranno, they go for their first play, right? You go ahead and stop them, flip everything face down. When they finally go for their second play of getting rid of, let's say, this card, you just go, okay, let me go ahead and make Final Sigma. It's immune to everything. And again, you've already flipped everything face down. So that could be pretty dirty as well. But anyways, like I said, I think Hop-Eared Flying Squad is actually a really good card, and I think it's very underrated. We'll have to wait and see what other synchros not only come out for the game, but what other cards you guys think might be very useful for this little guy over here. I just saw this card, people were like, dude, this card's trash. I'm like, no, hold on. You can make this card so easy in Dinos. Like, it's such a joke. It's just one tuner and 1+ non-tuner monsters. Again, easy generics. Except for this one. This one's more specific for certain things. You could also mix in Destrudo to go for, more so Destrudo to go into another card, and then you'd have to like go for that. But it is technically possible to make with this. This one's maybe not the greatest example. Again, these ones, unfortunately, you just can't make. I mean, this one, if you convert everything to water, sure, you can go ahead and do it. But anyways, I feel like I've ranted on long enough. Rip that 10-minute ad rev. But anyways, hopefully you guys enjoyed that video. About Hop-Eared Flying Squad. What other things can you make? Let me know down below in the comment section below. Would love to see some gameplay of it because it just got announced and it's already released on YGOPRO. If you guys got any replays of it, would love to see it in action here. But I think it's just such a cool card. Unfortunately, it's only once per turn. Otherwise, you could go into something, then go into something else. I just think he's cool. I just like the idea of like a toolbox, really. But anyways, thanks for watching, guys. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. If you did, drop a like on it. If you're new here, hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out on new Yu-Gi-Oh cards as soon as they get announced. This guy's cool, though. But anyways, thanks for watching. Peace.